Today in this video, we're going to talk about how to invest in cryptocurrency for beginners, specifically in this year and even over the next couple of years, the environment that we're in. We're in a little bit of a different space than we were in even 5 years ago. So I think it's relevant to be able to share to newcomers in this space, kind of some just common sense advice, if you will, to attempt to help them learn about the space, to get started with the space, to get started with cryptocurrency, to use cryptocurrency, to understand cryptocurrency, to even buy cryptocurrency and how to invest in it, because it's exciting technology, and because it's so exciting and the potential is so enormous for the future, there's a possibility that cryptocurrency is going to make a lot of people wealthy, and it already has made a lot of people wealthy. In fact, if you're watching this video and you're looking for things like how to invest in cryptocurrency or how to invest in cryptocurrency for beginners, you're probably here because you heard about someone making a lot of money or, fortunes. Interestingly enough, the mainstream media doesn't even cover it, but fortunes have been made in cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. When you understand, like 5 years ago, this is just a chart. 5 years ago, Bitcoin was all the way down below 300. Today it's selling at 7,000. It's been as high as 20,000 already. If you bought in, say at 200 and you sold at 20,000, that's enormous gains. What is that? 200, 20,000, that's two more zeros. So if you had 100,000, you'd have made what, $10 million from a $100,000 investment? Or $10,000 investment would have made you $1 million? There are literally fortunes that have been made in cryptocurrency, and therefore a lot of people get excited about it. But I think just because you're looking to get rich quick, I think that's the most dangerous way to get into Bitcoin or get into cryptocurrency. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's back up a little bit. Let's just talk about, I want to first talk about kind of some basic fundamentals to understand, and then I'm going to talk about what I think, my personal opinion, a good safe investment strategy in the very beginning is for someone getting started. And when I say safe, don't take this as financial advice. This is my personal opinion. I'm just a cryptocurrency YouTuber and enthusiast. So don't take this with a grain of salt, but I'm going to share with you my personal experiences. Cryptocurrency is a very volatile asset. I personally do not think that it should be anyone's first investment ever. It is a speculative, extremely volatile asset, but that's also why the gains could be enormous. But the reality is the losses could be enormous as well. No one wants to hear that, but that's just the reality. So let's go into it. I think the most important thing, if you're going to get into cryptocurrency at all, and I'm on Bitcoin right now, but there's a lot, you need to understand there's a lot of cryptocurrencies, there's a lot of technology out there, there's a lot of use cases, ideas, projects, a ton, over 2,000 of them. Many of them are crap, many of them are going to go to zero, but a lot of them are very, very, very exciting. So where do you start? It can be confusing. I'm going to give you some direction through this video, but first and foremost, you need to understand what cryptocurrency is all about, and in order to understand cryptocurrency, it's important that you understand what blockchain is. Now, blockchain is the basic technology that creates basically a cryptocurrency, a true, what we call trustless or permissionless cryptocurrency. I'm not going to discuss blockchain in this video, but I will put a link up here in the top right-hand corner. I have a video that I talk about. In that video, I give you the 3 best videos that I'm aware of that educate on what is Bitcoin, basically. And Bitcoin was the very first cryptocurrency. It has what's called a proof of work blockchain. And if you understand that video alone, you're not going to understand everything about blockchain, but you're going to understand more than about 80% of people out there. It doesn't cover things like proof of stake, which is fine. You'll at least understand the basic mechanics of blockchain, why the technology is so incredible. And one of the biggest reasons that it's incredible is because it allows for decentralization. Could you imagine a world where, for example, for me, I think this is fascinating to think about, where the internet exists, but it doesn't require any major centralized companies to run it. You don't need a Comcast, or you don't need the government to approve it, or you don't have to worry about the FTC regulating it. I mean, the FCC regulating it. Literally, it would just exist essentially on everyone's computers, and everyone's individual computers would make up the internet. And if that sounds interesting to you, then you are definitely supposed to be in the cryptocurrency space, and you want to keep doing research in this space, because that's the sort of thing that blockchain technology allows. That's outside of, say, Bitcoin, for example. But understand blockchain, understand the technology, understand where it excels. So blockchain excels in areas of decentralization, where you don't need, for example, with Bitcoin, you don't need the government to set interest rates. You don't need the government there to control the money supply. You don't have to worry about governments ever doing something like what Venezuela did, which is create hyperinflation and devalue all of the citizens' savings, all of their retirement, all the currency they had. Bitcoin is a potential way to be able to have a currency that anyone can use, anyone can understand the value of in the future, and anyone can be able to transact in it. And you don't have to worry about it's not confiscatable. It's somewhat private, although it's not totally private. It is possible to use Bitcoin in a way where you could use it very privately, where people don't have to know what you're doing with your money. The credit card companies don't have to know what you're purchasing. No one literally has to know what you're purchasing. And there are other solutions that are even better than Bitcoin with privacy, but I'm just trying to give you a general layout. It's very good at pseudo-privacy. Your name, John Smith, does not have to be attached to a transaction, for example. Understanding blockchain and that what it excels at, it excels more than anything at really, truly decentralization, transactions, or functions in a decentralized format that does not require one primary entity to administer, to control it. So understand where the technology is weak at. The technology is weak. We're in the early stages. There's a lot of weakness in blockchain technology. And it's important to understand that, because when you understand it, then you can kind of see why it can be risky, but at the same time, the potential for improvements. So where is it weak? Well, Bitcoin, we'll take Bitcoin for example. Bitcoin is not an amazing method of economic commerce at this point in time. Can you purchase things with Bitcoin? Absolutely. Is the issue, a lot of people think the issue is that there's not enough places accepting Bitcoin, but that's not really the issue. In order for companies to accept Bitcoin, outside of having to rely on, like, for example, the US dollar, because most places who accept Bitcoin, what they do is they accept Bitcoin, and through their merchant provider, it instantly gets transferred to dollars. And the reason is because there's a lot of risk to the business on fluctuating price. When you've got a price that can fluctuate this much, 3, 4, 5%, 10%, 20% sometimes in a day, then that's a risk to a business. That's a weakness in some ways for the technology. The other issue is the cost of transactions. For a very large transaction, it's super cheap to use Bitcoin. For a very large transaction, it's super fast. If you're talking about transactions of tens of thousands of dollars, it's very fast compared to, like, say, for example, a wire transfer or something, which can take several days. But if you're talking about a small transaction like, the proverbial cup of coffee, then it's expensive to transact. Then it's not as fast. It can take up to 30 minutes sometimes, 5 to 30 minutes depending on the network transacting Bitcoin. Those are some of the weaknesses. But it's important to understand what are some of the factors that can lead to this technology growing. So we talked about understanding the technology, understand where it excels, understand the current limitations or the current weaknesses. And I encourage you to do more research. I'm just trying to introduce you to some concepts that you'll want to research. And we're going to start talking about how to invest in it in a very practical way, in kind of a common sense approach. And it's not the way that, and I'm going to tell you some things a little bit later in this video to be very careful for. Because most people come into Bitcoin, they get starry-eyed. Or I say Bitcoin, I mean cryptocurrency. They get starry-eyed, they get excited. They think they're going to make millions overnight. And there's a saying in the cryptocurrency that will say things, when moon, when is it going to the moon? Or when Lambo, when are we all going to buy Lamborghinis? There's this saying out there. Now, I actually do believe that if you follow some common sense advice, there is a possibility within the next, it's hard to say, 3 years to maybe 30 years, depends on how long mass adoption takes. I mean, there is a possibility, and it may be a high risk, and it may be a slim shot, but I do think there is a possibility that this technology makes people filthy rich in the long run. But it's not without limitations, and it's not without risk. That's what you have to understand. So we'll get more into that as we go on in the video. I'm just laying some groundwork, so stay patient with me. What are some factors that can lead to more people using the technology? This is important to understand, because if you understand this, then you can understand the growth potential. And it amazes me how many people are in Bitcoin and other altcoins that I see on forums and discussion boards and in Telegram groups that I don't even think they fully understand this. But what are the factors that could lead to more people using the technology? Well, one of the common factors just is that the technology improves. And that's actually where a lot of people, what they tend to think. They think the technology is just going to somehow suddenly improve one day. I don't necessarily think that's the case. Let me explain what I mean when I say technology improving. Like Bitcoin fees somehow get a lot cheaper. Bitcoin transaction speeds happen a lot faster. I don't think that's the full solution. And the reason I don't think that it's a full solution, because in most cases, to make that happen right now with the technology, in most cases to make that happen, you have to sacrifice decentralization. And meaning it requires some sort of centralized sidechain project in many cases. And people like to tell you that it's not sacrificing decentralization, that it's still decentralized. It's not as decentralized as the main blockchain. I'm not saying that those aren't workable solutions to help bring about mass adoption. I just don't think those solutions alone are going to create mass adoption. But it may be a reason that there may one day be a better cryptocurrency in e-commerce or at digital commerce. There may be a better cryptocurrency in the future outside of Bitcoin potentially. Just keep that in mind. You always got to be aware of that. We'll talk about investors' bias here in a little bit. So what are the factors that can lead to more people using the technology? By the way, that term is called mass adoption. Mass adoption being that the masses use it. If you're researching this topic, you're watching this video right now, I mean, you're one of some single-digit % of people in society that are actually paying attention to cryptocurrency. So what are some of the factors that could lead to mass adoption? Technology improving, obviously. But the other one, I think, is that the underlying need grows. Listen carefully, the underlying need. And I think we have proof of this already. And this I believe, will lead to mass adoption probably far faster than the technology. And that is the fact that, what do I mean by underlying need? I mean that more people start to believe that it's more important to have a decentralized method of transacting currency, that is more important than how long the transaction takes. Or it's more important than buying that cup of coffee. And we already have proof of this. If you look at countries like Venezuela, for example, that went through, the government basically manipulated the currency, and all governments manipulate currency. You have to understand that. That's part of the reason Bitcoin was created. All governments manipulate currency. But Venezuela's government did such a poor job of it that it hyperinflated the currency, and literally day by day the currency was buying left. A loaf of bread goes from, say, $2 to all of a sudden it's $2.50 the next day, to $2.75 the next day, to all of a sudden it's, before you know it, another day or two it's $3, and then in another week it's $4 for that loaf of bread. Like literally your money's buying less just that fast. And when that happens, people get nervous. They don't want to hold the currency. They don't care that the Bitcoin's not perfect. They would rather hold Bitcoin. And an overwhelming percentage of the country, a lot of people started, the volume on Bitcoin exchange and Bitcoin websites went way up for those countries. Why? Because a lot of people were buying Bitcoin because it was safer for them. And so I think that we've got two options for mass adoption: improving technology or the underlying need grows. And I think that we're in an environment where it seems like every month or two, if you just read the news headlines, the worldwide geopolitical news headlines, you'll see that there's a lot of government instability, and the financial markets overall are relatively stable. But if you understand how they're being stabilized and how the currency is being manipulated, I mean, there's a lot of cracks in the proverbial financial foundation that could possibly lead. Now, I'm not telling you this is going to happen this year, but I do believe at some point it's going to happen, where all of a sudden people become where they just trust their government less. And it might not happen as soon in the US, and it might not happen as soon in, say, European countries. But it doesn't have to happen in the most developed countries for the price to go up drastically. I mean, if the whole continent of Africa decided to start using Bitcoin as a mode of, transacting, or South America, for goodness sakes, that could cause the price to go way up. And that doesn't include the fact that there is some evidence that countries like China could be preparing to start stockpiling cryptocurrency, particularly Bitcoin in China's case. There is some evidence that that could be occurring, or it could be brewing, it could be a possibility. And so you just kind of, when you understand that, and if that happens, that could potentially create a cryptocurrency trade war or trade war may be the wrong word, but it could create an environment where governments start hodling cryptocurrency. They start buying up Bitcoin because they feel like they need to they feel like they need to get ahead of the curve. And I believe it's possible for something like that to happen as central governments start to have cracks in their foundation. Now, I also think they're probably going to create their own centralized blockchain, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that is an option. There are signs out there that the economic needs of the technology could outweigh the technological limitations or the technological weaknesses. And I'm not trying to tell you what's going to happen one way or the other. I'm just saying you can kind of see, you can read the tea leaves a little bit if you're aware of what's going on out there, so to speak. Let's talk about how to invest in, let's go here, how to invest in cryptocurrency. So it's important for you to understand, first of all, how early you are. Like, we are so early in this space. And again, it's a reward versus benefit. Some of the greatest fortunes are going to occur in cryptocurrency. No question about it. No question about it. What are some of the common use cases of cryptocurrency? Two of the best use cases, in my opinion, right now is decentralized finance, decentralized economics. Meaning being able to, the simplest one is being able to move wealth from one person to another in a trustless, decentralized blockchain manner, such as Bitcoin. There's other decentralized finance products out there, but that's just the easy one if you're brand new. Another one is really applications on a blockchain. Being able to run software on a blockchain, again, a decentralized blockchain. Ethereum right now is the market leader in that space. Will they always be? Who knows? I don't necessarily know. I think it's probably 50-50 long term. But Ethereum right now is the leader in that space. Ethereum, you can run applications, they call them dApps, or decentralized applications, dApps for short, on the Ethereum network. And that's essentially what Ethereum's major use case is. Once you understand that technology, and those are right now two of probably the most prominent use cases for the technology, then it comes down to, okay, how do you position yourself? How do you invest in this? The easiest way for most people to invest is going to be something like, just go to Coinbase, particularly in the US, go to Coinbase, set up an account. I'll put a link in the description to Coinbase, and basically make a simple deposit. Now, there are little things you can do. Right now, you can literally get up to $186 worth of cryptocurrency. It's not just Bitcoin, it's all different types of cryptocurrency. And it's a risk-free way to either get some cryptocurrency and you can sell it for Bitcoin, you can sell it for Ethereum, or you can hold it in whatever cryptocurrency that it's currently in. And basically, it's just a matter of watching videos. Basically, companies are going to pay you in their cryptocurrency that has a real world dollar amount that you can cash out to your bank account through Coinbase. You can cash out to Bitcoin, or you can just hold their currency and watch it go up or down. It's risk-free, so that's one area where it's like, hey, just hold it. It may all go to zero, or it might not, but maybe it's worth just holding it, and just because you didn't actually pay for it. I would not recommend someone brand new getting in to start just buying a whole bunch of different coins. What they call everything outside of Bitcoin is called an altcoin. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you just start doing that without doing a little bit of research. But first, make certain that you are in with the major holdings, because just market leaders are market leaders for a reason. They have the most established team, most established development. They've proven they have the longer track record. So I would definitely recommend that you get started with simple projects, simple products like Bitcoin, for example, or Ethereum initially. Now, the way you got a couple options. You can come to Coinbase. It's probably the easiest way for Americans anyway, North Americans even, to buy Bitcoin. That's one of the options. Now you can trade. This is actually an exchange. You can trade your cryptocurrency here, but you might also see that they don't, later on, if you do start getting into altcoins, you may realize they don't have as many options as other exchanges. So another exchange I like is KuCoin. I'll put a link in the description to both, but KuCoin's an actual exchange. It might be over your head in the beginning. I don't recommend that you be a day trader. You will find a lot of great information and a lot of wonderful YouTube videos about people getting excited about day trading. Listen, can people make a lot of money trading crypto? Yes, but only very few succeed at it. And if all you have to do is look at how much cryptos went up, let me ask you, I think you would be hard pressed, and I would go as far as to say I don't think you would find anyone who has been trading cryptocurrency since it was around $300, day trading it, swing trading it, whatever you want to call it. I don't think you'd find anyone who was in cryptocurrency at $300 and would have made more trading it than they would have made just holding it. Just holding it. A lot of people promote trading because there's affiliate programs. When you see links in my descriptions, they're affiliate programs. They make a small commission. And those trading programs, I'm not saying that, I'm not telling you not to ever trade. If you want to do that with a portion of your portfolio in the future, that's fine. But this is investing in cryptocurrency for beginners. I don't think any beginner should start out trading. And I don't know that it's necessary. In fact, I think trading in the long run could cost you money. I think buying good projects and holding them, if those projects succeed, even marginally, many of them are going to do extremely well. Extremely well. I mean, fortunes are going to be made in some of these projects, and fortunes are going to be lost in others. So, before you invest in a project, make sure that you understand the project, what it's doing, what its use case is, what are its competitors, what are its other blockchain competitors, and is the project even necessary? Does it even need to have a cryptocurrency? There are projects out there that don't even need to be on a blockchain, and you think, why does that even exist? So just be mindful when you start trying to go into other projects. I think just getting started on Coinbase, buying Bitcoin, buying Ethereum, that's a very simple strategy. You can set Coinbase up where you can make a purchase of Bitcoin weekly or monthly, a small amount. If whatever that is for you, each month, each week, something that you're not going to miss. If that's $200 a month, or if it's $2 a week, whatever, that small amount. Again, right? Cryptocurrency should be considered speculative. It is exciting, and it is easy to get caught up in the hype. And there's a term for that. It's called FOMO. And FOMO is when you get all caught up in the hype, fear of missing out. And hey, I've been there. I've done that. And I'll probably do it at some point in the future. It's an exciting space. However, if you can be careful, and if you can just make small purchases over time, dollar cost average they call it, don't worry about if the news says it's going down. It's a small amount that you're not paying attention to. Don't worry if the news says it's going up. You're not planning to sell. It's a small amount. Your goal should be to sell your major holdings take some profits when we get near mass adoption. That should be your goal. And if you're going to miss that quote unquote money before then maybe you're in cryptocurrency a little bit too heavy. And then maybe you should probably sell at that point. If it's keeping you awake at night and you can't sleep, you're worried about losing it. Because listen, if you buy in today at 7,000 and it goes up to 70,000 and you've been making small purchases for a year or two and all of a sudden it hits 70,000, you're going to have a chunk there. And you've got to be willing to watch that chunk go up and down by 5%, 10%, 20%. And when you see it go up, everybody's going to tell you how amazing it is. When you see it's going down, everybody's going to tell you how horrible it is. When the market's going up, you'll see traders all over the internet claiming they're making fortunes. When the market's going down, they all become very quiet, or they're inconsistent on how they post, or they talk about one trend, then they never talk about it again because that trend reversed on them and they got wrecked. And then most YouTube channels go silent in a bear market when it comes to cryptocurrency. But you don't need to get caught up in every tick, every news story. You're just buying a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And if you want to start investing in altcoins later, either on Coinbase or through KuCoin or whatever, then do it with a small amount. Now, there's other ways to get cryptocurrency, especially if you believe the price is going to go up and you want to do it, or you want to get started. Maybe you're like, I don't know. You're like, well, look, I don't know if I want to put anything in it yet or not. I mean, you're kind of making me nervous. And listen, I know that I'm talking about two sides of a coin here. I'm telling you it's very risky, but it's also very promising. And that is just the truth. And on this channel, I do my best to be honest with there is no pie in the sky. Period. I mean, if that suits you, subscribe to the channel. Now, there are some ways to get free Bitcoin, small amounts. You can do a lot of things. A lot of people do. There's things like Faucets. So this is 25 Satoshi. What's 25 Satoshis worth? I don't know, maybe a penny. But it's basically, it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes, the smallest unit of Bitcoin is 0.0000000 to the 8th place 0. And that is a Satoshi. So I've got 25 of them. Claim. Well, I can give you an example. I've gotten right here about 45,000 Satoshi. So that's roughly about $3 worth of Bitcoin in today's valuation. Then there's, free Bitcoin. I got a lot more over here. This is a Satoshi. So 25, this is 76 Satoshi right here, these two numbers. But I got 458. But this is all part of another project that I have going. But there's Cointoply. You can earn Bitcoin. Again, it's a faucet. By the way, both of these were faucets, right? Every hour you can come here, roll, make you about 50 Satoshis if you want to. You're good to go. Oh, I already did that on another web browser. Then there's Cointoply. They got a faucet. I'm not going to do it because it's going to make a lot of noise. But you can roll the faucet and earn. I've got 78,000 Satoshi here, which is roughly $6.22. Not roughly, it is $6.22. So you can roll the little faucet. You can come here. You can do surveys. You can watch videos. I actually do this. I watch videos. Earn a little bit. This is where I do it at. You can earn a little bit of Satoshi. It adds up. It's not going to get rich. Some people like to do it. Some people don't. It's your deal. Cryptotab web browser. I've been using this web browser this whole video. It's what I use, right? It's a web browser. It earns you a little bit of free Bitcoin. And I say free. It uses your computer resources, whatever resources you're not using. I'm making this video right now. So you see it's about 800 or 900. If I wasn't making a video, it'd probably be over 2,000 mining speed. So it's just a way to get you some Bitcoin, some Satoshis that, doesn't cost you anything. Is it going to get you rich? No, it's not going to get you rich. It can make it worth it. Look, if Bitcoin goes up to 70,000, all of a sudden this $6 is $60. If it goes up to 700,000 one day, all of a sudden that's $600. Why do I mess with little stuff like this? Because I actually believe that Bitcoin could go up that much one day. But for most people, it's going to be simple. Set up a Coinbase account, dollar cost average. Now, here's what you want to be careful for. By the way, sorry, I want to talk to you about investors' bias. But before I do, I want you to understand even though that you have your Bitcoin on Coinbase, it's not your Bitcoin. Coinbase is holding it basically in their wallet, and they're saying you have access to it. The great thing about cryptocurrency is you can hold it in your wallet. And it's important that you research what a cold wallet is, what a hot wallet is. You can go Google that, cold wallet, hot wallet. But for example, a Ledger wallet is a wallet. It's a hardware wallet. You can research hardware wallets. There's a link in the description for Ledger, but it's a hardware wallet, which means that literally when you put Bitcoin, your Bitcoin here, no one can get to it ever unless they steal that from you. They can't ever get to it. If you have coins on Coinbase, it is possible Coinbase could get hacked. Or God forbid they go defunct as a company and you simply just don't get it back. I'll give you an example. This happened to me a few years ago. I bought some silver through a company and I had them stored at one of their facilities. Well, come to find out, the company went bankrupt and they stayed solvent by selling off customer silver that they were supposed to be storing. Yes, there was a class action lawsuit and I got a few tiny dollars. It was absolutely like a penny on the dollar is what I got. 2 pennies on the dollar maybe. It was ridiculous. But they basically they went out of business. I bought silver, physical silver. I lost that silver. Why? Because I didn't have that silver delivered to my house. If I had that silver in my home, then I didn't have to worry about the company, it getting stolen from the company. I didn't have to worry about anything like that. Same thing with, that's what a hardware wallet is. It's your crypto when it's in your possession. Even if you come over here to KuCoin, it's the same thing. It's an exchange. If that exchange ever gets hacked or your account gets hacked, it's gone. It's much more difficult, if not nearly impossible, for your ledger to get hacked. There's something called private keys. You want to research that. You want to have access now to your main cryptocurrency holdings. What do I mean by that? If you come here and buy Bitcoin weekly, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong. And if you want to keep a small amount up here, that's fine. But when that starts adding up to a few $100s, God forbid, a few $1,000s, at some point, you want to take a portion of that and eventually a much larger growing portion of that and hold it on something like a ledger. There's others out there. I'll put a video in the top right hand corner. I have a mobile wallet that's pretty secure, but nothing's going to be more secure than something like either a paper wallet. The next option would be a ledger, something like a ledger, cold wallet, offline wallet. But I'll put it, there's a wallet you can use on your mobile phone that's pretty good. I think it's the best wallet out there in my opinion so far, and I'll put it up here, the video up here in the top right hand corner. Now, those are just basics that get you started. Understand cryptocurrency, the possibilities, understand the limitations of it, and when it comes to investing, don't get caught up in day trading. Most of that is marketing. It's important that you understand that. Most of it is marketing. They're trying to sell you some bot, some algorithm that makes fees. And I'm not trying to knock it. To each his own. And I think if you want to do that with 10%, 20% of your holdings one day, just because, that's your call. But you're responsible. No one else is responsible. If you watch some YouTuber, even my YouTube channel, and they're talking about some project, do your due diligence. You are responsible. It's your money. It's your cryptocurrency. In the beginning, buy small amounts every week. Plan to buy small amounts for the next year. And maybe you buy some Bitcoin and you buy some Ethereum because they cover 80 to 90% of the major use cases in the entire market right now. Will they be the market leaders long term? Who knows? But they're the market leader today, so that does well for them. And literally, I would just buy a little bit every single week. Research them, research Bitcoin, research Ethereum, know what they're doing, buy a little bit every week, and at some point you can start to diversify when you start to become more knowledgeable about the space. But be careful for this. This is the thing you want to be careful for. Investor bias. What is investor bias? So investor bias is when you are so invested in a project, and everybody has this, and it's important to understand that you'll have this as well. Investor's bias is when you're so invested in a project that you look for confirmation for your beliefs. And we all do this. So Bitcoin's going to succeed. Why? Well, I just told you why I thought it was going to succeed. I just told you about, kind of reading the tea leaves a little bit, looking at the news stories. I read those news stories through my cryptocurrency investor bias. But there's investor bias on projects too. There are people that are, so invested in things, well, other projects, Litecoin, and they're so invested. They're like, well, Litecoin's better than Bitcoin, and this is why. And everybody one day is going to be using Litecoin, and they've been saying it for years. And guess what? Maybe one day they're right, but they haven't been right yet based on market capitalization. They haven't been right yet. So just be careful for investors' bias. Know that when you listen to someone, they're talking to you most of the time from their own investors' bias, meaning they're making a case based off of logic that they believe in, but they believe in the logic. The logic was created because they believed in the underlying project first. And so you're prone to look for information to confirm that. If you're still with me, you're still listening, this is huge. I should do a whole video just on this because a lot of people didn't make it to this point in the video. If you're still here, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up and tell me you're still here, investor bias. In the comments, tell me investor bias that you heard that part. But here's the thing, investor's bias is a thing that gets people in trouble, and you got to understand where you're prone to it. I'm not saying you're going to keep yourself from having it, but I had a buddy of mine who pointed out one time that I had investor's bias with Bitcoin. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, that's all you ever talk about. And I was like, yeah, because it's the market leader. He goes, is it the market leader, or do you truly believe it's the only option? Like there's never going to be a better option. And I thought, well, no, you make a good point. So since then, I still believe it's the market leader. I'm still probably biased, but I'm aware that something could take Bitcoin's place one day. And that makes me a far better investor. You don't put too many eggs in one basket. You start diversifying. Maybe you start out with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but then you come down here, maybe you pick up a little Litecoin. You pick up a little something else along the way. Start with the market leaders, start learning about other projects, and go into those other projects. Now, I want to wrap up with this. Cryptocurrency, I can't stress this enough. The potential is enormous. Congratulations for watching this video because I think we are on the cutting edge. I say it all the time in my videos. We are the pioneers of this technology. And I believe this is one of the greatest technological revolutions that will take place over the next 50 years. No question said, period, end of story. I believe the next individual who is worth $1 trillion probably will get there by holding cryptocurrency. I literally do believe that. But it doesn't come without risk. Guard your crypto. The greatest use case for cryptocurrency, in my opinion, is freedom. Crypto equals freedom. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. I will do my best to address them. I am not a cryptocurrency expert by no means. I'm an enthusiast. I'm a YouTuber. I love talking about this space. I love trying to help educate, pass on what little knowledge I have. So if you have a comment, I will do my best to try to respond to your comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to hit that thumbs up.